Now, we're about to embark on a potentially dangerous mission. There could be physical violence, there could be gunplay, and there's the slightest chance that somebody might even get killed. So if anybody wants out, now is the time to say it.
Hey, Shane Plays here, and I'm going to do a sort of an overview and an unboxing video that I've been wanting to get to for a couple weeks now. I got this in the mail the other day from the Kickstarter, Rodney Thompson, who is of D&D 5e fame. Now I believe he's working for Bungie. He's got some other credits under his belt, and I had him on the Shane Plays Geek Talk radio show and podcast several months back, and we talked about this game, and this is Dusk City Outlaws. And even though it looks like it's all in one box like a board game, this is a tabletop role-playing game that's like Ocean's 11 meets fantasy role-playing. D&D, in other words. Now, this is not a D&D 5e product, but it's a fantasy role-playing setting, a high fantasy, I believe, so like D&D, Pathfinder, your other fantasy role-playing games out there, but it's a self-contained rule set, self-contained engine, and you perform heists. So and if I remember right, the way that Rodney described it to me when we were talking, I don't know if rules light is the right word, but it's not super crunchy. Like, you do make your character, and that character can, maintain from session to session and that sort of thing. You can get together, roll up characters, do your heist. But the point here is that, think of a heist movie that you like, The Italian Job, Ocean's 11, something like that, and then mix it up with fantasy role-playing. And it is a fantasy role-playing game. Again, it's not just a board game. But let's pop this bad boy open and see what we have. I mean, if you could tell, it's still in the shrink wrap. I will, real quick, I'll give you an overview of what's going to be in here. And it says, let me give you a quick intro to this. It says, Dusk City Outlaws, a game of heist, cons, and other thievery. In Dusk City Outlaws, you and your friends form a crew of master criminals tasked with pulling off an audacious plan of your own making. Take on the role of a member of one of the 8 criminal cartels. So there's going to be basically 8 factions. I don't know if that'll equivalent. I don't think that'll be a class, but there'll be 8 factions in the game that rule over the underworld of the fantasy city of New Dunhaven. Matching wits and blades with the City Watch, the villainous blooded gang, thick-fisted private security lackeys of the trade companies, pirates, bounty hunters, vigilantes, and assassins. So, and it does this tabletop role-playing game puts you right in the middle of a criminal underworld where rivalries between cartels form the backdrop for your daring plans. Dusk City Outlaws is easy to learn and can be played with no need for advanced preparation once you know how to play. When the urge strikes you to play a role-playing game, you and your friends can be ready to start planning your next criminal enterprise in a matter of minutes. If I remember right, again, when I was talking with Rodney on the Shane Plays Geek Talk show, great interview, great episode, by the way. I'll try to put a link in the show notes. He did say one of his goals with this was to have the tabletop role-playing game experience, but that with a minimum of fuss and muss for setting up. Let's go. Let's have fun. Says you come up with a plan, you go into the city and do the legwork necessary to gather resources, eliminate threats, win over allies, and set up your scheme. You make yourself a legend among the right kind of people, and that's capitalized, when you pull off the most daring heist, the most brazen con, or the most fearless assassination the city has ever seen. So here's what we're going to find in here, and it does say this is for 3 to 6 players, ages 14 plus, but we're going to find the box set contains everything you need to play Dusk City Outlaws, including, and this thing is heavy. I mean, there's a lot in here. There's a lot of stuff in here. See, it says there's the 28-page player rulebook, the 48-page judge rulebook, including 8 ready-to-play scenarios. So boom, you got 8 nights or sessions or whatever of gaming right there, right out of the box. 240-page Traveler's Guide to New Dunhaven setting book, 19 cartel sheets, 26 specialty sheets, a 40-sheet pad of character sheets, 5 sets of percentile dice, 1 set of advantage and challenge dice, 60-card deck of quirks, 40-card deck of enemies, the 20-card deck of time, and cardboard tokens for influence and heat. And this is Rodney's company. He's done this imprint company is Scratchpad Publishing. And you can go to scratchpadpublishing.com for more information. So let's bust this bad boy open and see what we have. I mean, literally, I have not opened this thing. Got my letter opener right here. So I'm going to, even as you watch, I'm going to puncture the plastic. The plastic has been punctured. The awesomeness is emanating from inside. So this looks really good. I mean, the box, the design, the marketing, all of that, you know, it looks good. You know, this doesn't look like a first-time effort. You know, I mean, Rodney does know a few things about games. He was also involved with the Lords of Waterdeep board game that did very well. So he's had his hands in a few cool properties. There's the artwork on the front again. There's the artwork on the back. Now let's take a look. Let's get this thing open. Literally, we're opening this for the first time right now. So get that box open. That'll kind of show you. I mean, that's a thick box, and this thing's heavy. I'm not lying. Okay, so here's the judge's rule book, and then on the back looks like there's some quick reference. Let's take a look through that real quick, see if there's any artwork or anything in here I can show you. Yeah, there's artwork and whatnot. So, all right. So that is the judge's handbook. Then here's the player rulebook. So that way you can, if you're the judge, you can give this to the players. And again, there's some rules reference on character creation, luck, wounds, influence, rolling the dice, getting started, heat. Yeah, there's, you know, looks good, very glossy, high quality paper and all that good stuff. So that's the player rule book. Now here's some tokens, and looks like some of them already got punched out, which could very easily be because I have a 4-year-old son. But there's one token that looks like this, that's kind of a stylized human figure with arrows pointing in multiple directions. I'm going to guess that's influence. I'll talk about influence and heat tokens. And then you have these tokens, I'm going to guess are heat, because that looks like a stylized little flame. I don't know if you can see that or not. Keep trying to adjust my supposedly HD webcam. I still haven't gotten exactly how I want it. And then it seems like some of them, there's some larger ones that looks like maybe these are 5 heat. So this counts for 5. So there you go. So that's the tokens. Again, I do not fault the shipping. I mean, the box is in great shape. There's no damage or bending or whatever on the boxes. I have a 4-year-old son who has probably banged around with the box a little bit because it's been on my kitchen table. Even though you're like, don't touch that. He's 4 years old. So, all right. Ooh, all kinds of cool stuff. Here's the dice. Let's take a look at these. As he said, there's 5 sets of percentile dice. Each set is color-coded, so there's like green and orange. All right, and you've got one dice that's obviously the 10s with double digits, and one that's obviously the 1s, so that there's no confusion there. That's good. Because sometimes people will roll, and then after they see the roll, they'll be like, oh, that's the 10s. And it's like, was it really? Right? So that avoids any possible shenanigans, because these are a bunch of heartless criminals that we're playing with, right? Well, some criminals have a heart of gold. But, so there's blue, and then purple. Purple. All right, let's see what else we got here. And then these are I think that it called them advantages and not advantage and disadvantage. I can't remember the exact terminology. I'll try to look it up. It's on the back of the book. But you have these It almost looks like a little house symbol. It's an 8-sider, and not every face has something. About 4 of them or so, about 50% have a side. And then you have these black ones with little skulls. Those are, I don't know if you can tell, they're little skulls, kind of in a radiant white star burst kind of thing around them. An exploding skull, a very energetic skull coming at you. So you get 4 of those, and this is a D10. The skulls are D10s, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 5 sides have skulls and 5 faces are blank. And there's 4 of those, and then you get 4 of these 8-siders with the little houses, and I'll look up here in a second what those are called again exactly. All right, lots of tabs of paper in here. These are character sheets. So that's your basic character sheet. Nothing. Okay, so yeah, these are according to on the back of the character sheets, which is nice. There's a character sheet, and on the back of the character sheet, there's a quick reference, which is nice. And the white dice are advantage dice that represent positive circumstances surrounding a roll. And then the boon symbol, and that's the little kind of house-looking symbol, on advantage dice represent additional positive effects that result from the attempt beyond success or failure. And then challenge dice, which are the black D10s, those other ones, the advantage dice are D8s. The challenge dice are D10s. I wonder what the difference is, because if you do a D8 with 4 faces with symbols, and you do a D10 with 5 faces, to me that would be 50% probability either way. So I wonder what the difference is, because you can already tell them apart by the color of the dice. I don't know. Rodney, if you happen to watch this, drop me a line. I'd love to know the math or the reasoning behind that. Challenge dice represent additional or factors detrimental to your skill attempt. Drawback symbols on the challenge dice represent additional negative effects that result from the attempt beyond success or failure. You roll these dice at the same time as your percentile dice. Boons and drawbacks cancel each other out on a 1-for-1 basis. So in all of these faces, best I can tell, just have 1 symbol per. There's like no face, a single face or side of a die that has more than 1 symbol. So now it's weird, because either way it should be 50%, right? But anyway, influence. Yes, it does say. I'm reading from the quick reference on the back of the character sheet. Influence represents your social connections and resources made available for you by your cartel. When you spend influence, you must describe the way in which you are leveraging a connection with someone else, friendly or otherwise, to accomplish a goal. Influence can be spent to, etc., etc. Do one of the things suggested on your cartel sheet, succeed on a test automatically without rolling dice, help someone else in the same scene. Yeah, if I remember right, talking to Rodney, that instead of scenarios happening in chapters, they're scenes, like scenes in a movie, kind of. Help someone else in the same scene, giving them 2 advantage, so you can spend and say, hey, take 2 advantage dice, or activate a benefit that says you must spend influence. All right, and then luck says luck represents your resolve, energy, and fortune. All characters start you off with 100 luck. Your luck is depleted by pushing your luck or by being attacked. When your luck reaches 0, your luck is run out. Any subsequent attacks can wound you or drive you out of a scene. You can recover all your lost luck by blowing off steam. Instead of taking the lead during a lake work scene, you describe how you take some downtime to recuperate. So luck is almost like your hit points, and your it's a pool of points that it's not only your hit points, but you can use it to push your luck. It says when you fail on a roll, you can spend luck in increments of 10 to increase your chance of success with that skill by the same amount. For every 10 luck you spend, also add a challenge die. So you would add these. So it sounds, if I remember right, when I talked to Rodney, there is a way for characters to die in this game, but it's extremely difficult. Like even here it says you can get wounded or you can get driven out of a scene. So maybe if you get wounded enough, you die. I don't know. Anyway, there's 2 pads. Like I said, I think it said there were 40 character sheets, if I remember right. So I guess this is 2 pads of 20. These are both the same thing. I mean, again, you have your thing here on the front, and then you have your quick reference. And on the front here, I don't know how well that'll show up. Try to take a picture maybe and work it into the video. You have, let's see here, character name, player name, cartel, specialty, quirks, story conflict, and it says progress. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boxes there. It says, so what's your deal? Story rewards, wounds, luck, and influence. And here we go, wounds. Add, so if you take, it looks like at the bottom there, if you can see here, there's a wound tracker. Whoop, let me get our wound tracker. And it goes from add 1 challenge die to all attacks and checks, all the way down to you can no longer take actions, then you are unconscious, then you are dead. So it is possible to die in this game, but it looks like it's not, you know, like you don't just one roll and you're dead. You have to use up all your luck, and then you'd have to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 physical wounds. And it says like some wounds, according to this luck, some attacks are mental over physical. So you can die in this game, but it doesn't look super lethal. Okay, here is the, and this is cool. So it's an actual little paperback bound book, and it's the Traveler's Guide to New Dunhaven. So there's that. Is that? Very nice. Nice. Look how thick that is. Yeah, and there's just all kinds of cool stuff in here. I mean, there's artwork. It kind of details the guilds and pleasure houses, poppy dens, tavern gambling, wager houses, all kinds of stuff in here. Law enforcement. Yeah, and this also lists, I mean, there's in this credits page here, there's obviously a lot more people other than just Rodney Thompson involved in designing this. There's a lot of people behind this game. Scenario design, game and setting design, art, development, graphic design, editing, project babies. I guess babies born during the project. Play testing, special things. So, very cool. All right. Yeah, there's New Dunhaven at a glance. Welcome to New Dunhaven. Life in the Dusk City, the Crown and the Law, making a living, religion, which includes clergy, cathedrals, holidays, and superstitions, alchemy and sorcery, the right kind of people, places of interest in the rest of the world. And there's, I mean, a lot of cool stuff in here. So, neat. I mean, this is cool. Let's see. Then we have, wow, what is this? Yeah, these are the, let's see what we have here. Huh. Getting the job done. Let's see what this is about. There's a lot of these getting the job done cards. I think this kind of tells you a little bit more about like, because this has got, looks like kind of archetypes, specialties, traveler, specter, you're a contradiction, both a heretic among the most devoted members of the church. A wire, W-Y-R. Only a few wardens can cast their consciousness in the minds of animals. So there are fantasy archetypes here. It's like a ranger kind of character. Masquerader, master of disguise. Hexer. The family has a saying, you get what's coming to you. Sometimes fate is a little slow in delivering punishment to those who deserve it, so the family relies on you to speed along the progress with a good curse. This is a rare character. Must be a member of the family cartel. Let's see. So obviously I'll have to read a little bit more about how this works, but these are specialties, character types. Some of them are rare, some of them are not. And then on the back, I think it kind of has some tips on how to play the game. Like, yeah, 15 minutes to discuss plans with the members of the group or the member of the crew. There's a legwork phase. There's day and night segments. There's drama scenes. There's heat and complications. Heat is a resource the judge can spend to introduce complications into a scene. Each member of your queue generates 1 heat at the start of every segment just for being on the job. If you participate in a scene that takes place in a part of the city where you are conspicuous, generate 2 heat. If you're sloppy or reckless while committing crimes, you generate more heat. So this is just sort of every one of these sort of specialty archetype cards has the same thing on the back, kind of helps guide you through how to, the flow of a session. And there's a lot: Basher, Dabbler, Cleaner, Poisoner, Pallbearer, Sharpshooter, Dragon. Wow. You have to be a member of the Red Lotus Society cartel to be a dragon. This seems, yeah, silk hand wraps, meditative incense. This seems very much like a like kind of a monk type character. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all these on this video, but that gives you an idea of like the different kinds of specialties and stuff. And this, I mean, this is nice, good heavy stock. It's glossy. All of these materials feel good. Well done. Well done. Then we have, and this is nice. I like this. You have you have trays to hold the game components. But not only do you have the trays, they have lids on them. I'm not sure I've seen that much, if at all. So you have these, you pop this tray open. Let's get this lid off. If I can. Well, that's on there good. So when I was recording the unboxing, I kind of skipped over the lids that go on top of the game trays fairly quickly, but, I want to point out these lids serve a function beyond just covering the trays and keeping the pieces in there. One, each lid has, it'll say judge's tray or player's tray on it, because each one of these trays holds materials that are specific to the judge or a player. And so it's easy to identify right off the bat. So it identifies which tray is which. And it also, helps keep the materials in there. But it also, and this is nice, when you take and put the trays side by side in the bottom of the box, the way the trays are designed with the indentations and etc., they form nice little slots to put like the specialty cards and the faction cards and the Traveler's Guide to New Dunhaven book and all that. So it kind of they kind of slot in the top of these trays to kind of help organize everything. Impressive. Again, I mentioned at some point during this video that the Kickstarter did not deliver exactly when they wanted to because they were working on these game trays. So I got the lid off. There's 2 of these trays. There's game tray 1 or it just says game trays. So there's 2 of these, and they just have places to put, like this has the heat symbol. It's very specifically has the heat symbol on it there. So you'd put the heat tokens in there. And then that up there has the 5 heat tokens. So another thing I want to point out after recording this video, I saw on Twitter, Scratchpad Publishing Twitter account actually pushed out that in the upper left-hand corner of the judge's tray, there's that big, almost like a bowl. And what that's actually for is for the judge, as the game is going, to keep track of the active heat tokens they have to use. So you would drop, it's like, oh, this is how much heat I have. So drop in the bowl, and when you spend it, you pull it out of there. So that's what that rather large indentation is used for. Enemies, this specifically says enemies, so you'd put enemy cards in there. And time, I guess time cards. I don't know if you can see that. These are really nice. If I remember right, one of the Kickstarter updates was that I think that the manufacturing, took a little bit longer getting these because he wanted to get these game trays right. Because I think it was originally supposed to come out just before Christmas, and I got it 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then there's all kinds of there's just this deck of cards in this game tray. Deck of time shows that it's nighttime, I guess, and then it says plus heat per crew member. So I guess you would draw that at night, and maybe there'd be a random element that everybody gets an additional heat, or you get the GM or the judge gets an additional heat per crew member. I'm not sure. They all say plus heat per crew member, deck of time. Let's see what else is in here. Yeah, they all say the same thing. They all say the same thing here. And some of them say day. And about half of them say night. So I'll have to read the rules to figure out exactly how that works. And then underneath those, there's all these cards were on the back. There's character portraits. And then on the, like it shows there his portrait, and then you flip it around and it says mercenary, and it's got some game stats. It says antagonist, antagonist, antagonist. These are all antagonist. Major villain, dramatic enemy. Major villain, dramatic enemy. So, some cool stuff. An archpriest. And if I remember right, I'm pretty sure that you can develop villain relationships that will continue across sessions. So there is some sort of continuity that'll keep going here. City Watch Patrol, Blooded Thugs, Minions. So I'm guessing this is sort of an enemies deck, because it did say enemies in there, if you can read that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the enemies in the enemies slot, and this other one says time, so I'm going to put them time in there, and then I'm going to pop the lid back on, and I am not going to put all the tokens and stuff in yet, just for brevity while we're doing this video. Now, here's the other tray, very similar. Let's see. Very similar, another deck of cards. Now this one on the inside says Quirks. See if you can read that. My cat's trying to take a look. You gonna come through, cat? Are you my cat because I'm the evil mastermind? So Bonnie wants to take a look. It says Quirks, and then there are this. It looks like it gives you places to roll, because this little slot here, groove, has the challenge dice symbol, the little skull, and then this groove here has the advantage symbol for those advantage dice. And this groove is smaller, so I wonder if that's why they went with D4s for this one and D10s for this one. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. All right, so this deck says Quirks, so it is the deck of Quirks. So let's pop it open. Very, very impressed with all the materials in here, the components. Feels good. And there was a little thing to pop and open up the deck, get the plastic off the deck, like finer cards and packs of cigarettes have everywhere. I just wasn't paying attention. And then here's your Quirks. For example, I'll just says a home in Little Tayona. That's one of the Quirks. Says you have a home in Little Tayona, an apartment above one of the myriad of shops and restaurants found in its districts. What kind of business do you live over? Do you get along with the owners? Is your relationship adversarial? It says one of the locals. You are not conspicuous in Little Tayona, even if your cartel says that you normally would be. So here's another Quirk, Animal Whisperer. Okay. Says beast language. Choose a particular species of animal. You can understand and be understood by animals of that type, and you can use skills to interact with them verbally just as you would with people. So, and then some of the flavor text says, while others hear only animal sounds, you hear comprehensible of primitive communication. When did you discover this supernatural ability? How have you used it to get out of a tight spot? A little role-playing there. Artisan, Aura, Reader, Cardsharp. Let's see what Cardsharp says. Ace up your sleeve. You add one advantage die to any roll you make to play games. In play games, it's capitalized, so that's a skill or an action you can take in the game. Who taught you how to break the rules without getting caught? Have your skills at cheating ever failed you? So there's the quirks there. Let's see here. Slumlord. All right, so the quirks is neat. And then I just discovered inside the quirks deck, looks like there are a few more antagonists. Bodyguard, bounty hunter, city watch musketeer, concerned citizen, cultist, and hired killer. So there we go. So again, there, you know, we got all the excellent materials and the trays and all that. You know, there's 2 little slots to put quirk cards in here, you know, to make sure that they fit without spilling over. You got, you know, you can put tokens and roll dice and all kinds of cool stuff in here. So I'm very impressed. That is Dusk City Outlaws. And yeah, 26 specialty sheets. So these sheets that I had here, that on one side they have a you know, a description of a type of specialty, a class, if you will, and on the back they all have the same kind of thing, like, okay, here's how the flow of a session goes for each game or whatever. These are specialties. So anyway, I'm very impressed. I really want to run this. This is the kind of game that I like to get when I run games at special events or at conventions, or if they're doing, like, you know, free RPG day, or if they're doing like a charity event or something, like where you do one shots, or if you're just going to get together, you know, once a quarter or something like that. This is the kind of game that I love to run, and I'm really looking forward. I can already tell this game has a lot of personality. You know, Rodney Thompson has proven chops in game design. This stuff looks quality. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So again, let me see if I can, without spilling everything out, I've got all the materials in here. Oh, here we go. Woo! Try not to spill everything out. This is Dusk City Outlaws from Scratchpad Publishing. Looks like a board game, but it is indeed a tabletop role-playing game, self-contained. Everything's there that you need. And, you know, it looks fantastic. So good job, Rodney. Good job, everybody at Scratchpad Publishing and that worked on this game. Maybe I'll do a review video after playing or something like that. But in the meantime, I've got a heist to plan. And luckily I have my guide to New Dunhaven right here. So we'll catch you next time on Shane Plays. Have you played Dusk City Outlaws? Do you want to? Do you have questions? Leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I just want to hear from you if you're playing it or if you'd like to, and give me your thoughts. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you would. That helps me out tremendously, and also a thumbs up. We'll catch you next time on Shane Plays.